And you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because we have punk ass motherfuckers who are not fucking men parading around this country acting like they're entitled to stuff that they're not entitled to. You see men who, protect and provide for their children and those that they procreate with, those are the ones that are entitled to go wherever they want to be because they're responsible and they have respect for that which is respectable, and the rest of y'all are not. Y'all are over here and doing the most. You're having the most frivolous, irresponsible sex. You're doing the most frivolous and irresponsible activities. You do not measure up to men. See, men don't ask for things, they make demands. Men, especially, I'm going to tell you another thing. Men don't go to courts requesting things that don't involve the courts. They don't, they don't put their children or the women that they procreate with in such a position to have to fight over things when a man is going to use his money and do his responsibilities with or without a court, period. And unfortunately, many of you don't have power like that because, you're not men, you're cowards who get to hide behind, resources that which you didn't build. So you came here from another land to enjoy the benefit of someone else's hard work and effort and education. Unfortunately, you know, the creatures like you can come into someone else's system and then go on to oppress women that you have no business trying to be involved with because you don't deserve this, and you need to go sit in prison and jail until you learn something. So you're failing our children, you're failing yourself. You have no control over your body. You have no control over your depravity. You're a predator. You're an apex predator, and you're disgusting. And on top of that, you're impoverished. So then you go around and, you have to target young girls because, you wouldn't dare try this with a grown woman who knows a little bit more. You have to prey upon us when we're young, and then thanks to the failures of our failures of fathers that we're not. It's women like us who get the short end of the stick along with our children because you failed to be a man, and thanks to your operation and your system of fraudulently being men because you're not men. You're like more women than we are most often. You have to go in and get help from a system and go get your victimhood merit. You need a little badge like the Girl Scout cookies. You need a little badge. You need a little something, a reminder, some type of token so that you can feel good about your failing, your failure to provide for and protect your children, your failure to be financially responsible for them, your failure to better your education so that you could get a better job, so that you can provide for that family that you refuse to take care of, your failure to recognize that you don't deserve submission because if your women are making more money than you, and if your women are doing a better job at raising the home and raising their children, well, then perhaps you're just not the qualified partner. So instead of rather, just taking your loss and being like, I need to man up and go do better for myself, you go instead and you turn around and you use a system that was not designed for your benefit, that was designed for somebody else. You didn't build it. You had to come across ships across the ocean and come on over here as a victim, pretending to be a victim while you're leaving victims in your wake everywhere that you step. So you're having all this frivolous sex. You're not marrying the women, the young girls who you're preying upon. Yeah, that's what you're not doing. Your ass is broke. You don't have any money. So that's what you do because you feel entitled to what men are entitled to, but you're not entitled to that because you're not a man. And on top of that, you're a foreigner. And on top of that, you didn't build the system of which you're benefiting from. And on top of that, you're not the one who has to pay for it. The taxpayer does. So the one who goes to work, the U.S. citizen, pays for that. So while you're doing that, you are usurping resources that were not intended for you, but because you're a coward, and on top of that, you want to use your power that really isn't even your power. It's a system power that it has nothing to do with you. But because you're the proper gender and you get to pretend like you're the man of the hour when you're not, because the men of the hour don't do stupid things like that. They don't go around all over this planet making children that they cannot afford to raise, let alone protect. When they have children, they're proud of their legacy of what they have, and they have enough honorable dignity and respect to uplift them and pedestalize their legacy. But unfortunately, you, on the other hand, because you're a disgusting vermin creature and you don't understand responsibility and you have no respect towards the female agency, and a man does, but you don't. So this is what the issue is. You get to come over here for a nation that was not built by you, that you lost a war, and I mean, it really is what it is. They bought it from you, so therefore move. Here's the boundary line, and you're not entitled to cross it without going through the proper protocol to get over here. But since you're a deceiver and you're trash and you can't compete, because it's the only way that you can enter into that society is you have to cheat, so therefore that's what happened. Now, our children are even further degraded, especially when they're in the proximity to you, because as we shall know, I was a product of rape and so is my child. So both of us are examples of what happens when you have folks who just simply can't be men. Because men don't need to rape. Because men have the resources and the respectability to get what they want. So unfortunately, trash like you will prey upon young girls, will play upon people who are vulnerable, especially if you're marginalized. And you'll know that you're marginalized because, the ones who procreated us basically lost. They were defeated, and that just is what it is. It has nothing really to do with this or that, or feeling bad and you want sympathy. It's too bad if you want sympathy. You lost fair and square. You didn't rise up, and instead what you did in turn, those who procreated us, they in turn decided they felt entitled to have children. They felt entitled to have children so that they could degrade them further and then offer them up to this system so that we can be used as sacrifices, human sacrifices, resources. And unfortunately, the problem with that is that, to be qualified as men and to be respected as such, you're going to need to be doing manly shit. And y'all are not doing that. Sacrificing your children and women is not manly. That is the most cowardly act that you can do as a man. As an apex predator, to throw away children and women, you are an embarrassment, and you are not rendered the honorable title of being called a man. And that is what a lot of those who are trespassing into the United States are not. You're not men. Because men would not leave behind children, not pay for them, not protect them, and not figure out what to do to safeguard their own legacy. But because you have no honor, no respect for your own self, because, let's just take it for what it is. You're selfish, you're titled and privileged. You believe that you are entitled to have the access to the woman agency when you really don't. You don't have the finances to do so. You don't have the resources to do so. You don't have the backbone to do so. Anytime that you're living through your daughters and through their mothers, you're an embarrassment, and you are what we classify as non-honorable. You don't have integrity. You're not a man. You're simply just, you're a woman with a penis. That's about it. You want to be taken care of by someone else's system. That's not what men do. So you're an embarrassment. And regardless of who gives you what, that you get your way, you're being a woman. You get your way with the children to continue a legacy of debauchery so that, you create children that can't compete, which usually happens when you don't have a man as a role model, as a parent. You have a coward who took the cowardly approach by sacrificing and using and hiding under the skirt of their daughters and their so-called partners. And most of the time, we're not even your partners. There is no romance. What romance is in there? A romance has a man in it. And unfortunately, when it comes to these ones, they're not there. There's no men. So no romancing. There will be no romancing occurring because you need a man to romance, Otherwise, you're just having a row and ants. There's no man at all. Like I said, men don't leave their children poor and destitute in other countries wherever they step, wherever their penis happens to arrive, you don't just go on wielding your trash penis, poverty penis around like it's something to be honored about. It's not. You're broke, you're poor, and you want control. You want control that you're not entitled to. The only ones who are entitled to that type of control are actually men, because men are too busy doing shit, and they're too busy building, and they're too busy making great examples and models. You, unfortunately, are not. You're hopping fences and you're hopping over here and you're going all over the place. You want sympathy and people to see you as some type of victim, but you're not a victim because you're creating victims everywhere you go. Your children are now impoverished. Okay, those women are too young. And by the time that we recognize just how terribly we were disrespected, it's already too late, and a coward like you has already done too much. It's men like you who may, it's not even men, excuse me. Let me get that correct. It's females like you who are females with penises. It's females like you that make it so that there needs to be some politics and rules and regulations in place to ensure that a bunch of illegitimate children are not created, because that is what these nations are filled with, a surplus of illegitimacy, and you know it. Goodbye.